How do I get my child with ADHD to complete a task? Hey there, I'm Charlotte with Colorful Teaching for You. Thank you so much for joining me. So executive functioning skills are essential to our life and how we function within society. It helps us, organize our thoughts, plan for the future, make current decisions, and even just do basic tasks like, laying out your clothes or putting them on. And if you don't have those skills, or if you're unable to understand or respond to emotions, it becomes very difficult to work on tasks and to just continue on, because everything takes a lot longer. Everything is just a lot more difficult. So when our child with ADHD is lacking with executive functioning skills, our job, even though it may seem like a chore, is to help our children figure out how to manage each of these tasks so that everything is not so much work and so difficult for them to complete. Now, with the help of some teachers, some specialists, and also with the work I've done in my own classroom, I've come up with a list of 3 things that I believe will help your children complete a task confidently. Okay? But of course, it is a bit of work. So let's get started. Number 1 is to provide choices. So the first part is to take a task that they have to work on and find a starting point. Now, finding a starting point is part of the thing, but what you want to do is also provide 2 starting points, so that way your child has agency over which one they get to choose and which way they want to start. It doesn't mean that they're not going to finish the task, it just means that they get to choose how they want to start it. And if it's at all possible, try to add a little bit of a fun spin to it so that there's something exciting for them to look forward to, okay? Because that's going to help with intrinsic motivation and really keeping them going and motivated. So the second one is break it down. And I've talked about this before. Really take a big task and break it down into the smallest bits so that your child knows exactly what they need to do. Now, and when they do it, make sure you praise them so that they continue wanting to work on the task. Now, this part can be a bit difficult, especially if you are a teacher with a class of 30 kids. So what I'd like you to do is, ahead of time, take a task that you think is going to be complicated and write it down on a piece of paper or on your computer, and actually break down each of that whole project into small steps, so that when your child comes up to you and says, now what? You, instead of getting frustrated, you can just pick up that piece of paper and look at it and say, okay, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, check it off. Now this is the next step. That way all you're doing is going back and forth, not having to really sit there and think about extra things, okay? Now I know it's going to feel like this is a lot of work to do ahead of time, but I mean, if you do this same project the year after, you've already gotten down all the steps of how to break it, so you don't have to break it down, so you don't have to keep on doing this over and over again, okay? Number 3 is explain the rationale. So what I find is, this is not just for kids with ADHD, but in general, children don't like learning about just random concepts that there's no reason for them to learn. They feel like you're wasting their time and energy, and it makes sense, right? I remember in school when we had to learn trigonometry. I didn't retain anything, because what was the point to me? They never explained to me why I needed trigonometry then and how it was going to relate to my future. So I don't know anything about it, and I didn't care. I studied it because I had to, and I needed to pass the test, right? So that's what I studied it for. Did I learn anything? Absolutely not. Did I gain anything out of, say, science, where we're learning about the human body? Absolutely. It relates to me. The teacher explained to me exactly how specific parts interrelated and why we needed to know about it. And that's why I retained that, and that's why I enjoyed that class. So explain to the kids why you're teaching them a specific topic and how it's relevant to their future or to their present, if you possibly can make that connection. Okay, so let's recap really quickly. We've talked about why it might be difficult for a child to complete a task, and then we've looked at 3 different ways that we can help our children get a task completed from start to finish. Number 1 is provide choices. Number 2, so that's the beginning part. Number 2 is break it down. This is the middle part and right to the end. Number 3 is explaining the rationale. In fact, I would even go as far as to say this should be step number 1, because this is the first thing you should do before you even start any project. Okay? So thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. In the meantime, remember to create, experience, and teach from the heart. Thank you so much. Take care.